Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair on the bridge of the USS Odyssey. The stars outside looked peaceful, but an urgent beeping changed that mood quickly. His communications officer turned to him with wide eyes. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal. It's coming from Sector 7. Jake leaned forward. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered to life. A blue-skinned alien with large black eyes appeared. The creature looked terrified. Its voice came through the translator with a high-pitched tone. "This is Ambassador Zixtal of the Zalarian research vessel Starweaver. We need immediate assistance. Our ship has crashed on a hostile planet. Please help us." Jake stood up. "This is Captain Morrison of the USS Odyssey. We've received your distress call. What's your situation?" The alien's tentacle-like appendages waved frantically. "Our engines have failed. We cannot leave this terrible place. The conditions here are deadly. We have only days before our life support runs out. Send us your coordinates," Jake ordered. "We'll come get you." The alien hesitated. "Captain, you must understand. This planet is extremely dangerous. The gravity is crushing. The atmosphere is toxic. Radiation levels are lethal. You cannot possibly survive here." Jake smiled. "Don't worry about us, just send the coordinates." As the data came through, Jake's executive officer, Lucy Bennett, studied the readings. Her eyebrows rose in surprise. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, bringing up the planet's specifications on her tablet. Jake looked at the screen. Gravity, 1G. Atmosphere, 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. Temperature range, 20 to 40 degrees Celsius. UV index, moderate. He chuckled. "Lucy, these are Earth-normal conditions." Lucy nodded. "That's what I thought, but the Zalarians seemed terrified." "Of it. Different species, different tolerances," Jake said. "Set course for their location, maximum speed." "Yes, sir," the helmsman replied. 3 hours later, the USS Odyssey entered orbit around the planet. It looked like any other Class M world. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Nothing special to human eyes. "The Zalarian ship is on the northern continent," Lucy reported. "They're in a forested area near a mountain range." "Prepare a shuttle," Jake ordered. "I'll lead the rescue. Team myself." In the shuttle bay, Jake gathered his team. Dr. Sam Torres checked his medical kit. Lieutenant Mike Harris inspected his security equipment. Engineer Beth Johnson carried her tool case. "Listen up," Jake said. "The Zalarians think this planet is deadly. To us, it's like a walk in the park. But stay alert. They might know something we don't." The shuttle descended through the atmosphere. Below them, vast forests stretched to the horizon. Rivers wound through valleys. Mountains rose in the distance. It could have been Earth. They landed in a clearing near the crashed Zalarian ship. The vessel looked like a silver disk, half buried in the soil. Scorch marks showed where it had skidded across the ground. Jake opened the shuttle door and stepped out. He took a deep breath of fresh air. Birds sang in the trees. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves. The sun felt warm on his face. "Beautiful day," Mike commented, stretching his arms. A hatch opened on the Zalarian ship. Ambassador Zixtal appeared wearing what looked like a full environmental suit. The alien's voice came through external speakers. "Captain Morrison." "What are you doing? Where is your protective gear?" Jake spread his hands. "We don't need any. These conditions are perfectly safe for humans." The alien's suit sensors beeped frantically. "Impossible. The oxygen levels alone should be burning your lungs. The gravity should be crushing your bones. The solar radiation should be killing your cells." Beth laughed. "This is what Earth is like. We evolved in these conditions." Several more Zalarians appeared at the hatch, all in protective suits. They stared at the humans in disbelief. "You mean to say," Ambassador Zixtal said slowly, "that your homeworld has these same deadly conditions?" "Pretty much," Jake replied. "Now let's get your ship fixed so you can get out of here. Though I don't see what all the fuss is about. This place is quite nice." The Zalarians exchanged looks that even through their helmets appeared to show pure terror. They had just realized something important about humans, something that would soon spread across the galaxy. These strange beings didn't just come from a death world. They thought it was paradise. Jake and his team walked toward the crashed Zilarian ship. The aliens inside watched them through the viewports, their large black eyes wide with shock. Ambassador Zixtal's voice came through the external speakers again. "Please, you must come inside quickly. Every moment you spend out there shortens your lifespan." Jake shook his head. "We're fine, Ambassador. Let's focus on fixing your ship." Beth Johnson, the engineer, circled the crashed vessel. She ran her hand along the smooth metal surface. "Looks like your main power coupling burned out during entry. I can fix that, but I'll need access to your engine room." The Zilarians huddled together near the airlock. They whispered among themselves in their clicking language. Finally, Ambassador Zixtal spoke. "Very well. We will allow you inside, but please, for your own safety, you must wear protective equipment." "That won't be necessary," Dr. Sam Torres said, "but we appreciate your concern." The airlock opened with a hiss. Jake led his team inside. The chamber was small and cramped. Once the outer door closed, the inner door opened to reveal the ship's interior. The Zilarians had removed their helmets but still wore their protective suits. Up close, Jake could see their blue skin had a slight shimmer to it. Their bodies were thin and delicate, with long limbs that moved gracefully. "Welcome aboard the Starweaver," Ambassador Zixtal said. His voice sounded like wind chimes without the translator. "I am sorry for the poor conditions. Our life support is failing." Jake looked around. The air felt stuffy and warm. "What's the problem with your life support?" "The filters cannot process this planet's toxic atmosphere," another Zilarian explained. "We have perhaps 2 days of breathable air remaining." Mike Harris checked his scanner. "Your air mix is 10% oxygen, 90% nitrogen. No wonder you can't breathe outside. Earth creatures need about twice that oxygen level." The Zilarians stared at him. "You breathe 20% oxygen? But that is highly corrosive. It would burn our tissues." "Yeah, well, we kind of need it to live," Mike said with a shrug. Beth had already started examining the engine systems. "Your power coupling definitely overloaded. I can replace it, but I'll need to fabricate a new one. Should take about 4 hours." 4 hours? Ambassador Zixtal asked. "But that means you'll have to work outside in those deadly conditions." "No problem," Beth said cheerfully. "It's actually quite pleasant out there." While Beth worked on repairs, Sam offered to check the Zilarians for injuries. Several crew members had been hurt during the crash. As he examined them, he noticed how fragile they seemed. "Your bone density is very low," Sam observed. "How do you handle your planet's gravity?" "Our world has only 1/3 the gravity of this death trap," a Zilarian scientist named Vexilor explained. "Here, we can barely move without exhaustion." Jake nodded. "Earth has similar gravity to this planet. We're used to it." The Zilarians exchanged nervous looks. Vexilor pulled up data on a holographic display. "According to our records, only 12 species in the known galaxy evolved on worlds with gravity this high. All of them are classified as extremely dangerous." "Dangerous how?" Jake asked. "Superior strength, endurance, and aggression," Vexilor said. "Most are warrior species that dominate their regions of space." Mike laughed. "Humans? Aggressive warriors? Nah, we're pretty peaceful. Unless someone messes with us." Outside, Beth had set up her equipment and was working on the new power coupling. She hummed a tune while she worked, completely comfortable in the alien environment. Through the viewport, the Zilarians watched her with a mixture of awe and horror. "She acts as if this is normal," Ambassador Zixtal said. "For us it is," Jake replied. "Earth has similar conditions. Maybe a bit more variety in weather and temperature, but nothing we can't handle." The ambassador's tentacles twitched nervously. "Captain Morrison, I must ask, what exactly is Earth like?" Jake smiled. "Oh, it's beautiful. We have oceans, mountains, forests, deserts, storms that can level cities, temperatures that range from freezing to boiling, thousands of species that can kill you in different ways, but it's home." The Zilarians fell silent. They were beginning to understand something important. Humans hadn't just survived on a death world. They had conquered it, and now these death world natives were walking among the stars. Beth had been working outside for 2 hours when the sky began to darken. Jake noticed the Zilarians getting nervous. They clustered around their weather monitoring station, clicking rapidly in their native language. "What's wrong?" Jake asked. "Ambassador Zixtal." The ambassador's tentacles trembled. "A catastrophic weather event is approaching. We must recall your engineer immediately. She will die out there." Jake looked out the viewport. Dark clouds were gathering, and the wind had picked up. "Looks like a thunderstorm. Beth, you getting wet out there?" Beth's voice came through the communicator. "Yeah, Captain. Want me to come in?" "Can you work in the rain?" "Sure thing. I've got a tarp I can set up." The Zilarian stared at Jake in disbelief. "You're going to leave her out there? In a storm?" Thunder rumbled in the distance. The Zilarians jumped at the sound. Their weather station showed wind speeds increasing to 30 miles per hour. "That's barely a breeze where we come from," Mike said. "You should see a hurricane, now that's a real storm." Lightning flashed across the sky. The Zilarians screamed and ducked. Rain began to fall, first a few drops, then a steady downpour. Through the viewport, they could see Beth calmly continuing her work under a small tarp. "The rain is highly acidic," Vexler warned. "It will burn through her skin." Sam checked his scanner. pH level is 5.6. That's normal rain. Might mess up her hair, but that's about it. The storm grew stronger. Wind howled around the ship. Rain pounded against the hull. Lightning flashed every few seconds, followed by crashes of thunder. The Zilarians huddled together in the center of the room, as far from the viewports as possible. "How can she work in this chaos?" Ambassador Zixtal asked. Jake shrugged. "This is pretty mild, actually. Back home, we have storms that can rip trees out of the ground, tornadoes that can destroy whole towns. This is just a spring shower." Through the viewport, they watched Beth finish connecting the new power coupling. She gave a thumbs up to the ship, rain streaming down her face. She was smiling. "Power coupling installed," her voice came through the communicator. "Want me to run a diagnostic?" "Go ahead," Jake replied. The ship's lights flickered, then came on strong. Systems hummed back to life. The Zilarians looked around in amazement as their displays lit up. "Full power restored," Beth reported. "Should be able to take off whenever you're ready." She gathered her tools and headed back to the airlock. When she entered, water dripped from her clothes and hair. She was laughing. "That was refreshing," she said. "Reminds me of camping trips back home." The Zilarians backed away from her as if she might explode. Ambassador Zixtal approached cautiously. "You enjoyed that?" "Sure," Beth said, wringing water from her hair. "Nothing like a good thunderstorm to make you feel alive." Vexler was studying his instruments. The temperature dropped 10 degrees during the storm. Such rapid change would send most species into shock. "Really?" Sam said. "That's nothing. In some places on Earth, temperature can change 40 degrees in a single day." The Zilarians looked ill at the thought. The storm passed, as quickly as it had come. Sunlight broke through the clouds. A rainbow appeared in the sky. The humans admired it through the viewport. "Beautiful," Lucy commented. "You find beauty in this violence?" Ambassador Zixtal asked. Jake nodded. "Earth taught us to find beauty in everything, even the dangerous stuff. Especially the dangerous stuff." The Zilarians were quiet for a long moment. Finally, Ambassador Zixtal spoke. "I begin to understand why your species is so different. You don't just survive these conditions. You celebrate them." "Life's too short not to enjoy a good storm," Mike said. The Zilarians didn't know how to respond to that. They were starting to realize that humans weren't just adapted to their death world. They loved it, and that might have been the most terrifying thing of all. Beth squeezed water from her sleeve. "So, anyone want to go for a walk? The air smells great after a rain." The Zilarians collectively shuddered. They were learning more about humans with each passing hour. And each revelation was more frightening than the last. The Zalarian ship was almost ready for takeoff when the proximity alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed throughout the vessel. The aliens scrambled to their stations, tentacles waving frantically. Multiple life forms approaching. Vexilor announced, his voice shaking. Large predators. Class 5 threat level. Jake moved to look at the scanner. How many? 8? No. 10. They're surrounding the ship. Through the viewports, dark shapes moved between the trees. They looked like wolves, but larger, with silver-gray fur and glowing yellow eyes. They moved as a pack, circling the clearing where both ships sat. Death beasts, Ambassador Zixtal whispered. They killed 2 of our crew when we first crashed. Their bite can crush metal. The creatures emerged from the forest edge. They were the size of small horses, with powerful muscles rippling under their fur. Their teeth gleamed in the sunlight as they snarled. Everyone stay calm, Jake said. He turned to Mike. Lieutenant, I think this is your department. Mike grinned. Finally, something interesting. He checked his equipment belt. Permission to handle this, Captain? Granted, but be careful. The Zalarians watched in horror as Mike walked to the airlock. You can't go out there. They'll tear you apart? Nah, Mike said. I've dealt with worse. We had coyotes near my farm growing up. These guys just need to know who's boss. He stepped outside, moving slowly but confidently. The wolf creatures turned their attention to him, growling deep in their throats. The largest one, clearly the pack leader, stepped forward. Mike stood his ground. He made himself look bigger by spreading his arms wide. Then he did something that made the Zalarians gasp. He growled back. The sound that came from Mike's throat was deep and threatening. He took a step toward the pack leader, maintaining eye contact. He clapped his hands loudly and shouted, Hey, back off. Go on, get out of here. The pack leader hesitated. It had never encountered anything that didn't run from it. Mike took another, stepped forward and growled again, louder this time. I said move. The pack leader's ears flattened. It whined and took a step back. Mike pressed his advantage, walking straight toward it while making loud, aggressive noises. Suddenly, the pack leader turned and ran. The other creatures followed, disappearing into the forest as quickly as they had come. Mike dusted off his hands and walked back to the ship. Inside, the Zalarians stared at him as if he had just wrestled a star. How did you do that? Ambassador Zixtal asked. Mike shrugged. Basic animal psychology. Predators respect strength and confidence. Show fear in your prey. Show dominance and they'll usually back down. But those were apex predators, Vexilor said. They fear nothing on this world. They do now, Jake said with a smile. Humans are pretty good at becoming the new apex predator wherever we go. Sam added, On Earth we've tamed similar creatures. We call them dogs. They sleep in our homes and play with our children. The Zalarians looked sick at the thought. You keep predators as pets? Sure, Beth said. I have a German Shepherd back home. Great dog, protective, loyal, friendly. But why? Ambassador Zixtal asked. Companionship, Mike explained. Plus they're useful. Hunting, herding, guarding. Humans and dogs have worked together for thousands of years. The Zalarians were processing this information when one of their crew members spoke up. If you can tame apex predators, what does that make you? Jake and his team exchanged glances. They had never really thought about it that way. I guess it makes us the species that apex predators are afraid of, Lucy said. The silence that followed was heavy. The Zalarians were beginning to understand something profound about humans. They didn't just survive dangerous conditions and violent weather. They stood up to the most fearsome predators and made them run. Your people, Ambassador Zixtal said slowly. They all can do this? Pretty much, Mike said. It's not that special, just basic survival skills. But to the Zalarians it was anything but basic. They were realizing that humans might be the most dangerous species they had ever encountered. And somehow, that made them even more terrifying, because the humans thought it was normal. As the repair work continued, several Zalarians started showing signs of illness. They coughed and wheezed, their blue skin turning pale. Ambassador Zixtal himself swayed on his feet, his tentacles drooping. "What's happening?" Jake asked, concerned. "The hostile environment," Vexilor explained weakly. "Even with our protective measures, toxins are entering our systems. Microscopic killers are everywhere on this planet." Dr. Sam Torres immediately went into medic mode. "Let me examine you." Sam scanned the 6 Zalarians with his medical devices. His eyebrows rose as he read the results. "You've got some minor bacterial infections, nothing serious by our standards. Also some allergic reactions to local pollen." "Nothing serious?" Ambassador Zixtal gasped. "We are dying." "No, you're not," Sam said calmly. He opened his medical kit. "I can treat this easily. These bacteria are common on Earth. Our immune systems handle them without much trouble." The Zalarians watched as Sam prepared injections. "Will those chemicals not poison us further?" one asked. "These are antibiotics. They kill harmful bacteria. Humans use them all the time." Sam administered the shots with practiced ease. "You should feel better in a few hours." As Sam worked, he explained human immunity to the fascinated and horrified aliens. "Humans evolved with millions of bacteria and viruses. Our bodies learn to fight them. We even have helpful bacteria living inside us." "Living inside you?" Vexilor looked disgusted. "Intentionally?" "Sure. They help us digest food, produce vitamins, fight off harmful germs. We call it gut flora. Couldn't live without them." The Zalarians exchanged glances of pure horror. "You harbor organisms inside your body? By choice?" "Not just harbor." Sam continued cheerfully. "We cultivate them. Yogurt, cheese, fermented foods, all made with helpful bacteria. Some people even take probiotic supplements to add more good bacteria to their systems." Ambassador Zixtal sat down heavily. "You welcome these invaders?" "They're not invaders if they help us," Beth chimed in. "It's symbiosis. They get a home, we get health benefits." Sam treated more Zalarians, finding various minor ailments that would be barely noticeable to humans. Insect bites that caused severe swelling in the aliens. Plant scratches that triggered extreme allergic reactions. Fungal spores that made them sick. On Earth, Sam explained, children play in dirt. They get cuts and scrapes. They catch colds and flu. Each exposure makes their immune system stronger. "Your offspring are exposed to pathogens?" Ambassador Zixtal was aghast. "Deliberately?" "Not deliberately, but we don't shield them from everything either. A little exposure builds resistance." Sam finished treating the last patient. "There's even a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger." The Zalarians shuddered at the phrase. Mike added, "Some humans even seek out extreme conditions to build toughness. Ice baths, endurance races, survival training. We push our limits for fun." "For fun?" Vexilor repeated weakly. "Sure. Rock climbing, skydiving, deep-sea diving. Humans love challenging themselves against nature." Lucy nodded. "My hobby is free. Diving. Swimming deep underwater on a single breath. The pressure, the cold, the risk. It's exhilarating." The Zalarians looked at her as if she had admitted to playing with nuclear weapons. As the antibiotics took effect, the sick aliens began to recover. They marveled at how quickly human medicine worked on problems that would have been fatal to their species. "Your bodies," Ambassador Zixtal said slowly. "They are essentially biological weapons, immune to poisons, resistant to disease, hosting armies of microorganisms." Sam laughed. "Never thought of it that way, but I guess you're right. We're walking ecosystems. And this is normal for your species?" "Completely normal," Jake confirmed. "Every human carries around trillions of bacteria. Our bodies are battlegrounds where microscopic wars happen every day, and we usually win." The Zalarians were quiet for a long time. They were adding this information to everything else they had learned about humans. Weather that couldn't kill them, predators that feared them, and now bodies that were essentially fortresses against disease. "I think," Ambassador Zixtal said finally, "we need to update our classification of humans. You are not just from a death world, you are living weapons." The humans just smiled. They still thought they were perfectly ordinary. With the repairs almost complete and the 6 Zolarians recovering, Jake suggested they all share a meal together. The humans were getting hungry, and they thought it would be a good way to build friendship. "We have food rations from our ship," Jake offered. "Nothing fancy, but it'll fill you up." The Zolarians agreed hesitantly. They were curious about human food, but also nervous after everything they had learned. Mike brought in several containers from their shuttle. The smell of Earth food filled the Zolarian ship. The aliens sniffed the air cautiously. "What's that burning sensation in my respiratory system?" one Zolarian asked, waving a tentacle in front of his face. "That's just the chili powder," Beth said, opening a package of spicy beef. "Adds flavor." Sam passed around chocolate bars. "Try these. They're a favorite human treat." Ambassador Zixtel held the brown square carefully. "What is the composition of this substance?" "Cocoa beans, sugar, milk. Perfectly safe," Sam assured him. Vexler ran his scanner over the chocolate. His eyes widened. "This contains theobromine. It's a toxic alkaloid." "Toxic to some animals," Sam agreed. "But humans process it just fine. We love it." The Zolarians watched in horror as Beth ate some spicy beef jerky. She offered a piece to them. "Want to try? It's got a nice kick." Vexler scanned the jerky. "This contains capsaicin. It's classified as a chemical weapon on most worlds. It causes burning pain and tissue damage." "That's what makes it tasty," Mike said, munching on a piece. "The burn is the best part." Lucy poured coffee from a thermos. The rich aroma filled the air. "Anyone want some?" "Helps keep you alert." The scanner in Vexler's tentacle beeped frantically. "Caffeine detected. A powerful neural stimulant. Consumption can cause heart acceleration, tremors, and anxiety." "Yeah, that's why we drink it," Lucy laughed. "Helps us wake up in the morning." Jake opened a container of blue cheese. The pungent smell made several Zolarians gag. "This is a delicacy on Earth. It's decomposing biological matter," Ambassador Zixtal observed. "Infested with fungal growth." "Exactly," Jake said. "That's what gives it flavor. We age it for months to get it just right." The humans continued eating while the Zolarians watched in fascinated disgust. Everything the humans consumed was toxic, poisonous, or dangerous by galactic standards. "This fermented fruit juice contains ethanol," Vexler said, scanning Beth's small bottle of wine. "A neurotoxin that impairs judgment and coordination." "We call it wine," Beth explained. "Humans have been making it for thousands of years. It's part of our culture." The Zolarians had stopped being surprised. They were now in a state of complete bewilderment. "Let me understand," Ambassador Zixtal said slowly. "You consume plant toxins for enjoyment. You eat fungal infections as delicacies. You drink neurotoxins for pleasure. You stimulate your nervous systems with chemicals for alertness. Don't forget we also eat fermented cabbage, moldy cheese, and raw fish," Mike added helpfully. "Your bodies can process all these poisons?" "Not only process," Sam said. "We've developed taste for them. Some humans compete to eat the spiciest foods or drink the strongest alcohol. We've turned survival adaptations into entertainment." The TO. Final shock came when Jake offered them some honey-roasted peanuts. "These are coated with insect regurgitation," Vexler announced after scanning them. "Bee vomit, technically," Jake corrected. "We call it honey. It's delicious." The Zolarians had reached their limit. They politely declined all offers of human food and retreated to consume their own nutrition packets. "I must ask, Ambassador," Zixtal said, "is there anything on your world that you consider too dangerous to eat?" The humans thought about it. "Well," Lucy said, "there's this fish in Japan called fugu. It's got a deadly neurotoxin. Chefs need special training to prepare it safely." "So you avoid it?" "No, it's a delicacy. People pay lots of money to eat it. The danger makes it exciting." The Zolarians gave up trying to understand. Humans didn't just survive poisons. They paid money to eat them. The repairs were nearly complete when Mike decided to demonstrate human physical capabilities. The Zolarians had been asking questions about human strength and endurance, so he offered to show them. "This planet has similar gravity to Earth," Mike said. "Watch what we can do." He walked to a fallen tree trunk nearby. It was about 6 feet long and as thick as his waist. The Zilarians gasped when he bent down and lifted one end. "This log weighs approximately 300 kilograms, Vexler calculated. "Impossible for a single organism to lift." Mike grinned and lifted the entire trunk onto his shoulder. He walked several steps with it, then set it down gently. Not bad for a morning workout. The Zilarians were speechless. Ambassador Zixtal checked his sensors twice to confirm what he had seen. "Now watch this," Beth said. She started running in the clearing, picking up speed. Then she jumped, clearing almost 6 feet horizontally. "Track and field in high school," she explained. Jake joined in the demonstration. He dropped to the ground and began doing push-ups. 1, 2, 3. He continued until he reached 50, then stood up without breathing hard. "Your muscle efficiency is remarkable," Vexler noted. "Our calculations show you should be exhausted." "This is just basic exercise," Sam said. "Wait until you see what trained athletes can do." Mike moved to the center of the clearing. "Anyone know martial arts?" Lucy stepped forward. "Black belt. In karate." The two humans faced each other and began demonstrating basic moves, punches, kicks, blocks, and throws. They moved slowly to show technique, but even at reduced speed, their power was evident. "These are combat techniques?" Ambassador Zixtal asked. "For self-defense," Lucy explained. "Humans developed hundreds of fighting styles over thousands of years." "You needed that many ways to fight?" "Different cultures, different approaches," Jake said. "Plus we made sports out of them. Boxing, wrestling, mixed martial arts. People trained for years to compete." Mike and Lucy finished their demonstration with a controlled sparring session. Their movements were fluid and precise. The Zilarians watched in awe as the humans exchanged blows that would have shattered their fragile bodies. "Your bones don't break?" Vexler asked. "Human bones are pretty tough," Sam explained. "They can heal if broken, too. The body repairs itself." Beth decided to show off her climbing skills. She approached a tall tree and began scaling it using only her hands and feet. She moved up the trunk like it was a ladder. "No safety equipment," Ambassador Zixtal observed nervously. "Don't need it for a tree this size," Beth called down. She climbed about 30 feet up, then descended just as easily. The demonstrations continued. Jake showed how far he could throw a rock. Mike did a series of acrobatic flips. Lucy balanced on one foot while holding a complex yoga pose. "On Earth," Sam explained, "humans climb mountains for fun. We swim across channels. We run marathons, that's 26 miles without stopping. Some people even do ultramarathons of 100 miles or more." "For survival purposes?" Vexler asked. "For fun," Mike corrected. "To test our limits, to prove we can." The Zilarians were processing this information when Jake made a suggestion. "Want to see how we hunt?" Before they could respond, he picked up a straight branch and quickly fashioned it into a spear using his knife. He spotted a target, a fruit, hanging from a tree about 40 feet away. With a smooth motion, Jake threw the makeshift spear. It flew straight and true, knocking the fruit from the branch. "Humans are persistence hunters," he explained. "We can track prey for days. Our ancestors would chase animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. You exhaust your prey to death?" Ambassador Zixtal was appalled. "Not anymore," Jake assured him. "But we evolved for endurance. We can run, walk, and work for hours without rest." The Zilarians had seen enough. They understood now why humans were so different. They hadn't just adapted to their death world. They had evolved into perfect predators, strong, fast, enduring, and skilled. "Your species," Ambassador Zixtal said, "should come with a warning label." The humans laughed. They still didn't understand why everyone found them so frightening. With the repairs complete, the Zilarian ship was ready to depart. Ambassador Zixtal and his crew gathered in the command center. Their mission had changed from simple research to something far more important. "I must file an immediate report to the Galactic Council," Ambassador Zixtal announced. "What classification should we give Earth?" Vexler consulted his datapad. Based on our observations, Earth exceeds all known parameters for hostile environments. I recommend Class 12 Deathworld status. Class 12? Another Zalarian gasped. That's the highest rating, reserved for planets where no life should exist. And yet it does, Ambassador Zixtal said. Not only exists but thrives, creates beings like humans. The ambassador began composing his report. His tentacles moved across the holographic interface as he wrote. Earth, Class 12, Deathworld. Extreme gravity, toxic atmosphere, deadly radiation, violent weather patterns, aggressive predators, countless pathogens. Inhabited by humans, classification, friendly but terrifying. Jake and his team stood nearby, watching the aliens work. They still seemed amused by all the fuss. Recommendation, Ambassador Zixtal continued. Never provoke humanity. Their physical capabilities exceed most warrior species. Their immunity to toxins and disease makes them biological weapons. Their culture celebrates danger and consumes poisons for pleasure. The report grew longer as each Zalarian added observations. Humans keep apex predators as pets. They eat chemical weapons as snacks. They exercise by fighting each other. They climb trees without safety equipment. They consider deadly storms nice weather. When the report was complete, Ambassador Zixtal turned to Jake. Captain Morrison, we owe you our lives, but we must warn the galaxy about your species. Jake shrugged. We're really not that dangerous. We just want to explore and make friends. That's what makes you terrifying, Ambassador Zixtal replied. You don't realize how dangerous you are. The Zalarian ship lifted off, leaving the humans standing in the clearing. As they watched it disappear into the sky, Beth laughed. Think? We scared them. Apparently, Jake said. Though I still don't get why. Back on the USS Odyssey, they received a message from Starfleet Command. The Galactic Council had already received the Zalarian report. Earth's classification had been updated in all databases. Warning, Lucy read aloud. Earth designated Class 12 Deathworld. Humans classified as friendly, but extremely dangerous. Approach with caution. The crew found this hilarious. A week later, another message arrived. This one was from the Galactic Council itself. To the humans of Earth, Jake read. The Council has reviewed the Zalarian report with great interest. We have a proposal. Given your unique capabilities, would humanity consider serving as peacekeepers for the Galactic Federation? The bridge crew looked at each other in surprise. They want us to be space police? Mike asked. Jake continued reading. Your species possesses natural advantages that make you ideal for this role. Your physical strength, immunity to diseases, and ability to survive extreme conditions would allow you to operate in environments where other species cannot. Plus, Lucy added, who's going to argue with the species that eats neurotoxins for breakfast? The message concluded. We believe your reputation alone will deter most conflicts. Pirates and warmongers will think twice before causing trouble if humans are involved. Jake leaned back in his chair, grinning. Well, crew, looks like we've got a new job, the galaxy's most feared species keeping the peace. Because we're terrifying, Beth laughed. Because we're from a death world, Sam added. Because we're human, Mike finished. Across the galaxy, word spread quickly. The Deathworlders were coming. The beings who thrived where others died. Who ate poison and called it candy. Who fought for fun and kept predators as pets. And somehow everyone felt safer knowing humans were on their side. As for Earth, it gained a new nickname among the stars, the planet of friendly monsters. A world so deadly it created beings who laughed at danger, smiled at storms, and offered to protect everyone else from the things that scared them. The humans still didn't understand what all the fuss was about. To them, Earth was just home. And they were just people. That was the most terrifying thing of all.